It's James Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag HowiGotCustody. I want to talk about guardian ad litems. Spent a lot of time today talking about my own drama, so I figured I'd finally do a video with including my baby's mom, because I had some crazy drama with a recent ex just recently. I'm like, why don't I just talk about the crazy situations and how women just turn on you. They'll say the most vicious, crazy things after you break up with them or after their feelings are hurt. They'll just turn on you and just do something purely evil. And you saw some evidence of that. Like, I got in an argument with a lady that I broke up with, but I broke up with her. You think she'd just say, okay, bye, it's not going to work. But she has to come at me with all this other emasculating. She's acting like we're in family court. And she's a victim of family court herself, actually, which makes it even more ironic. I tried to help her with that stuff, after we've been friends for a long time. So anyway, guardian ad litems. Here's the number one thing with a guardian litem that I see all the time that people do, which is insane to me. A guardian litem or a parenting evaluator or a CASA, court-appointed special advocate, whoever's investigating and writing a report to the court about your parenting, why are you not writing a reply to the report? Anytime anybody files a lawsuit against anybody, they have a right to respond and a right to be heard. You have a constitutional right under the it'll come to me. There's a constitutional legal principle. You have the notice. You have the right to notice. Fundamental fairness doctrine. So if you Google fundamental fairness doctrine, you have a right to be notified of a proceeding against you and a right to be heard. In Old England, we have the Constitution because of the way they practice stuff in Old England. In Old England, they would have hearings without telling anybody about it, convict people without telling them about it, or they'd prosecute somebody, they'd lose, and they'd prosecute again and again and again, and they pretty much set it up where, that the prosecutor gets one shot at it. You can't get him. There's no double jeopardy. So why would a guardian litem be able to come in and just totally blindside you and talk bad about you and prejudice you to the court, and you're not supposed to respond? If you have an attorney, I don't know why you have an attorney, but if you have an attorney and they say, well, don't respond to the guardian litem, that'll look bad, or they'll be aggressive, or they'll attack. You're in a court. Okay, remember the reason why you have courts in the first place? People can't resolve a dispute. A court is there to resolve the dispute under the law. You slip and fall, Safeway or Kroger or a grocery store says they're not going to give you money. The court is there to resolve that dispute. It was your fault that I fell. You should have been caring for your floors. You owe me money for my medical bills. People aren't going to be, when people are opposing each other and fighting each other like that, they're not going to be on each other's side. One side isn't going to say, oh, well, they made this false allegation about me. Let's just sit and be quiet because that'll look bad if we're fighting. You're in a fight when you're in court. Court is a fight. It's an adversarial. Look up the word adversary. Court is an adversarial matter. And the fact that you have an attorney who's there to advocate for you in the fight of this adversarial matter, and the attorney says, well, let's not put up a fight. Let's not defend ourselves. Let's not counter. If somebody says that you getting on the attack in your own case and getting on the offensive or defending yourself, there's something wrong with that. If you go into court and they say, oh, he's attacking the guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem is supposed to tell the truth. This is a lie. I have a right to respond. In Washington State, case law specifically says, listen to this. In Washington State, case law specifically says that a guardian ad litem, parenting evaluator, psychological evaluation, psychologist, all those people are one of several witnesses or involved parties in a matter. And the court has a duty to inquire about the best interest of the child and look at all the evidence. And all the evidence comes from the father, the mother, the guardian ad litem, a forensic evaluator, a drug test. Why would they exclude your evidence? The fact that an attorney wants you to not provide evidence or your own testimony to counter them is insane. It's insane. You're in a fight. That's like saying if you're in a boxing match, Muhammad Ali shouldn't jab somebody or counterpunch. Just sit there and take it. That's insane. This is why I get so easily frustrated, because I'm sitting there telling guys, here's what you need to do. You need to get on the offensive. And then they're asking me, can I really do that? Why can I do that? How? My lawyer says this. My buddy says this. My friend's cousin's sister's mailman said that. What about this? And what about that? Dude, this is not rocket science. In regular life, if somebody falsely accuses you, you confront them or say that's a bunch of bullcrap. Now, somebody might just let it roll off and forget it. But in general, a lot of times you want to defend yourself. Why would you not want to do it in a court of law when your rights are at stake, or your life with your kid is at stake, or some liberty is at stake? It's insane that someone would tell you to be quiet. They're over there lying about you, attacking you, abusing the court system against you, and your lawyer says, who's your advocate, who's supposed to zealously advocate for you, they're sitting there telling you to be quiet? I wrote this declaration I did every time I had 2 different guardian ad litems. They wrote a few different reports. First guardian ad litem didn't want the mother found in contempt and argued why the court shouldn't find her in contempt. She should have stayed neutral and not even defended her like an attorney. So the mom really had 2 attorneys. I got the mother found in contempt. The guardian ad litem then came to court talking about, oh, I'm a loving dad. She witnessed me with my kid, but she thinks I need anger management and all this other stuff. And because I can't get along with the mother. It takes 2 to tango. What are you going to do for that? And she actually told me when we were going to settle that I should take a domestic violence class. God, I got to do a video on her. Dang it. I got to do a video on her. I should take a domestic violence class. And so I can learn conflict resolution skills. I said, I'll take a conflict resolution class, but now I never committed domestic violence, so I'm not taking domestic violence class. A lot of you guys would have said, oh, okay, this is the guardian ad litem, whatever she says, or my attorney says to obey the guardian ad litem. Is the guardian ad litem the judge? Does the guardian ad litem make rulings? If you're in think of a criminal case, when you can't figure something out and use common sense and figure this stuff out, think of a similarity in criminal court. Okay, the judge is the jury in family court. There are no jury trials, okay? So, would the prosecutor turn to one of its witnesses and say, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty? No, it's for the jury to decide. So why would a judge, the lawyer, or anybody else look to the guardian ad litem for the final decision on a case? Why wouldn't they look at the guardian ad litem's report, look at the counter to it, look at the supporting evidence, look at all the other evidence that is presented by the father, the mother, and everybody else? Why wouldn't you look at all the evidence? See how stupid that sounds to say, oh, will the guardian ad litem render a verdict, please? You wouldn't say that about the prosecutor. Will the defense render its own verdict? Will the forensic specialist, will the guy who did the blood and the fingerprints, whatever scientists that do that, will you render a verdict? It's not their job. It's the jury's job. The judge is the judge and jury in your case. But these attorneys want to bow down to guardian. Now, they do adopt the guardian ad litem report all the time. But if you overwhelmingly, adamantly show how stupid the guardian ad litem is and how stupid their report is, then you might put some doubt in the judge. I did it. You guys can look on my online store, the store that barely anybody's even looking at, when there's free information there, like my winning court documents. Just look at the link in my bio. There's all kinds of free information and resources there that everybody could use out there. If you're in a court case, you could use that. But nobody cares to lift a finger or look that hard. They just want to see the latest video and say, oh, that's cool, and then go back to doing what they've always done. There's a link in my bio that has all kinds of resources and information that every dad should be looking at. Free links with free stuff that maybe you haven't seen before. And then I have my store where there's my free winning court orders. Yeah, I sell stuff on there that pretty much everybody should be perusing and looking at. But if you look at on my store, there's a transcript of a judge or family law commissioner saying how the guardian ad litem report is unreliable. And I pretty much debriefed her or picked her apart very thoroughly. He said that on the record. So this is why it's so frustrating dealing with people who want to question and ask and question and ask and doubt and ask, and I'm afraid and I'm scared and I don't know and everybody says. Okay, how many times let's sit back for a second. All the people you're listening to, how many times have they won in family court? How many times have they helped other people win in family court? Okay, I have guardian ad litem reports thrown out when there's a transcript on there. When there's my winning contempt order. There was, look at the guardian ad litem signature right there. The guardian ad litem was fighting against me. When we settled, the guardian ad litem pushed for that DV evaluation or me to sign up for it. The guardian ad litem pushed for that as part of the final order. I said, I'm not doing that. And then the guardian ad litem went sign off on the order. So I motioned the court to get our agreement for me to have custody signed in. And I went to the judge and I said, look, I'm not established the father in here. And I actually was. I took the advice like a stupid jackass of the clerk of the court and filed the wrong paperwork. And I couldn't, since I wasn't the custodial decision maker, and I didn't know my rights then either. And the mother had been taking our daughter to Children's Hospital. She had special medical needs. I said, I can't take our daughter to get her special medical needs done. And the guardian ad litem's holding it up because she wants me to take this DV class. And the commissioner turned to her and said, do you want this to be upheld until trial? And you got to wait 5 months before the father can take the kid to the special and the guardian ad litem's like, oh, no, I guess not. Because I pushed her. And you guys are scared to push the guardian ad litems. Why? Because your attorney said so. And you don't ask any deeper questions. Well, why is that? Why can't anybody challenge the guardian ad litem? We're going to court. Aren't we all fighting? Why am I supposed to just let her lie sit in there? And the judge is going to read her entire report and not hear a counter argument from you because your attorney's a little simp or a coward or your attorney's a stupid jackass because he heard when he became a lawyer, oh, don't blaspheme the guardian ad litem, bow down and worship them. The whole court system operates on this paranoia fear that everybody else is a god or goddess in that courtroom and everybody has to bow to them. Bullcrap. The law is the ruling authority in there. The judge interprets and applies the law. The guardian ad litem, the mother, these other people are witnesses in a case. The judge is the jury, nobody else. The judge can't delegate his power to a third party or a non-judge party. And there's laws and case law above him that you could tell him he has to follow. Like I tell the judge, you don't have to listen to guardian ad litem. So the case law that I was starting to talk about in Washington, there's case law that says not only does the court have a duty to look at all the evidence, but each parent has a duty to present the court with their own argument so the court can make a balanced approach to it. It says that. You have a duty or an obligation to the court to share your story. And and that's in Washington, a progressive state, and everybody wants to say they're progressive. You could use that case law. I have a guardian ad litem packet that has a defense against the guardian ad litem's report, and then I have a bunch of case law. Now, your state may not be required to follow Washington case law, but it can be a guide, and it's a progressive state. We're the first ones to get COVID and to treat COVID and stuff, so everybody's looking at Washington as being wonderful and all this other stuff. And, excuse me, that can at least be used as influence. If there's a higher court or Supreme Court decision that says the court is obligated to hear from everybody and the parents are both obligated to present it actually says you have an obligation to point out deficiencies in the guardian ad litem report. I have an obligation to the court to point them out. And your stupid jackass attorney says, oh, don't dare point out deficiencies in the guardian ad litem report. And then people come to me and say, are you sure, James? Are you sure? Here's my winning court orders. Are you sure? But I don't know. I don't got time for that. I give you all the evidence you need. I have a packet for $40 on how to fight a guardian ad litem. Nobody wants to get that. I show you how I've gotten guardian ad litems thrown out. I show you in the link to my store, you can freely download my winning court orders that show that I got a contempt motion when a guardian ad litem signed off on it. I got a parenting plan. There's a guardian ad litem signing off on it. She's a radical feminist, man-hating, psychotic weirdo who probably got molested by her dad. And then I show you a transcript of a judge saying the guardian ad litem lacks credibility and that I picked her apart. And then you're still going to question me? Go do some research and go look at this stuff, especially now that I'm pointing out this specific video specifically talking about these specific things. Okay? The guardian ad litem is nobody until the court makes a ruling and finds and agrees with them. Don't let somebody just railroad you in court. I mean, think if somebody's defending themselves and they got evidence that they weren't there the night of the murder and your attorney says, well, let's not put that out there because that'll make them look bad. What? Everybody in that courtroom is your enemy. There's nobody that's your friend. Your attorney's supposed to be your advocate. They're supposed to be your friend. They're not even your friend. That's why you're better off representing yourself. So my little tidbit.